Rule 62 Studios in Bossier City, Louisiana. This is the Grouch and the Brainstorm. Welcome back. Guys, it is good to see you.
Don't ask me what episode this is.
I'm not.
Because you didn't tell me beforehand.
I'm not.
63.
I guess. I'm
But
guessing.
he said 62.
I think it's 60-something.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
It's season 2, episodes maybe 14.
Okay.
But now that our website, actually, by the time this airs, our website may be live.
Okay.
And if that's the case, then all that countdown stuff and all the stats and all that I talk about on this thing will be on the website, which I mean, I find it kind of fun talking about them. So we may still talk about them, but yeah. And birthdays, there's a slot for birthdays. There's a spot you can email us like through the website instead of going to BNG or GNB Bossier Gmail. You can just email us through the website. You know, it's kind of like where you put your name and your
and then comments.
at the bottom. So yeah, I looked at it today. I accidentally made it go live, then I had to get on there and make my daughter pull it back because I didn't mean to make it go live, and she's doing all that for us. So yeah, she's put some time in. It was probably about 24 hours just solid work on it. I mean, not straight. It's over the course of 3 months, like
Nice.
8 hours a month. But just sitting down figuring it out. You know, she didn't have a tech background. She's a psych person. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. So Jill, what you been up to?
Well, nothing. Well, I mean, not nothing. I, of course, work. But I just do a lot of cleaning up and taking care of my animals, around my pasture. I just got a new saw. Yes.
Your
Chainsaw.
pastor just got a new saw.
Is that what I said? My pasture just...
Your pasture.
No, I was saying I got a new saw.
Oh, okay.
Chainsaw.
Well,
I got a chainsaw, and I'm really excited about
I
it.
saw pictures of it on Facebook, or not Facebook.
It makes
on
me
Instagram.
happy.
Yeah, yeah. Congratulations.
Clear land, do stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Beautify.
And she was telling us before we got here today that she has not had a snake since Matt slayed the last one.
Well, that thing turned out to be a world record python.
I heard.
Checked in.
I heard.
They're going to make a documentary
there was a
about it.
family from Spring Hill that had actually threw away their pet python off the side of Benton Road, and it
Yeah.
made its way over to Jill's property.
Lucky for Jill, I was here, and,
Luckily for it, the crocodile hunter was passed away years ago.
Well, true,
because he
true.
probably would have had to come take care of it if you hadn't been around, Matt.
that's true.
And I feel like I've just totally jinxed myself. Tonight's going to be like Night of the Snakes when I go out to feed the pigs and chickens.
But you probably will dream about them.
I did that last night. What's that last night?
Okay, then.
I was joking.
Thanks, Mike.
When's the last time you dreamed of a snake, Matt?
Never.
This is
don't
the deal.
think.
Like when I'm stressed out, I have stress dreams, and stress dreams are either tornadoes or snakes. For me,
Really?
always. That's one of my biggest fears.
Do you have using dreams anymore,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I
Do
do.
you?
I do.
Absolutely.
Lisa?
Yeah.
I do
we
too,
have,
occasionally.
we have Lisa, old friend of the show. Lisa's with us today, guys. Just
And
so-
new birthday,
Had-
two new birthday people here.
She pulled off a 2-year birthday on Tuesday. So,
Yes.
right.
Congratulations.
congratulations,
and
Lisa.
our man of the hour over here, our main guy, Mike, celebrated 13 years.
I did. I had pulled Friday the 21st. I came in and had 2 years.
You were Mr.
two.
Earlier.
Stealthily
years.
came in.
Probably feels like 2 years sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I still say it, man. It was 90 days. I still can't figure out how I stay sober 90 days. That was the...
Do you still remember that? Like, I will
I
never
do.
have that. I
That
will
was
never
like-
have 30 days.
Well, I'm gonna tell you now. To someone who just got 90 days, hearing this guy down here just got 13 years might deflate your sales. But I'm telling you, I was elated when I had 90 days. Like when I think about it, it's kind of like I got over a hump or something. You know, I needed to get over that
Yeah.
in order to get the other 12 years and 7 months or whatever it is.
Crazy.
I got mine in treatment, but my counselor, whatever you call them, she kind of like, we're going to break down a process for you to get to 6 months. And that's going to be that. So when I left, I had this whole plan of things to do that would get me to 6 months. So, which it was all just go to meetings, do all that. But I thought it was like this top secret, plan that I had that no one else had. So,
Yep.
But yeah. I mean, she said, we're going to live one day at a time, but we're going to plan, we're going to try to see what the result will be. And I like that. I like the way she did that.
Yep. Set some goals.
But 90 days, yeah, you're a rock star. That was
Awesome. Huge.
So,
I still can't, I can't imagine. And 90 days was very, I guess here's how I can put it. For 13 years, I've had recovery, but for all that time leading up to 90 days, I didn't have anything. So 90 days was really big. It was it's probably the biggest milestone of my sobriety.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you start feeling good.
Yeah, I guess
Feeling better
those
around that
things
time.
in your head that disappear start coming back.
but that's just literally like a hang on for dear life deal up until that point. Because I know what you're saying. You don't really have a program. You don't have any experience with it, and it's just like I'm hanging on for dear life right now,
Well,
and I made it this far.
You still have the negative thoughts.
Yeah.
You still have the baggage. I'm talking about emotional baggage, all that.
And it's funny, even the 90 day and the 30 days is a big deal. I remember that, but like that 1 day coin, to me, that's the hardest one in our program to get because you have to stop the bullshit. That's when that
24 hour.
Yeah. And sometimes it took me 20 years to get in
You're
there
like,
to
not
get that
necessarily.
No, I mean, picking up a desire. I mean, maybe whenever you're really ready, but I mean, am I the only relapser in this?
one. I have not relapsed so far.
So
knock on
that
wood.
was really tough. I mean, after having those years and coming back, that was
Yeah.
freaking. I mean, like I'm still in shock. I mean, like I just couldn't do it. I mean, I'd come and get a desire chip, and I think I made it one time for a month. But man,
Tell everybody real quick, like that process, because a lot of people may not know your.
I mean, I got here in 1988, and I stayed sober for 7 years, and I really worked. I mean, I had a wonderful sponsor, and I did the deal. But whenever they say it's one day at a time, it's seriously one damn day at a time because you can just wake up one day and. I mean, you don't just wake up one day and think, oh, man, I'm just going to have a drink. But little things will add up to it.
Yeah.
I started making choices that I shouldn't have made.
Yeah.
I started going places I shouldn't go. I started hanging out with people I shouldn't probably be hanging out with people.
Yeah.
I had somebody that wanted to do some cocaine with me. And I said, dude, you do not want to do cocaine with me because I will own the building.
Yeah.
And eventually, if you hang around something long enough, you'll become it.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't believe that happened because I got my chip on April the 25th, and I think it was like 2 months later I was having a Zima in a U-Haul driving to Louisiana.
1994. What year is this? I remember the Zima days.
Yeah, well, so 95. Let's see, when did I move here? I moved over here in 97.
Okay, yeah.
So in 95, 95 was when I had a Zima.
Yep.
And I mean, I thought it was so beautiful, and I remember just loving the look of it. And that should have been my first clue.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Here was my whole experience with Zima. I pulled one out of an ice chest. I looked at it. I looked at my partner, and I said, "Is this beer or is it not?" And he goes, "I don't know what it is." And I just put it back in and got a beer. So I never drank one, I don't think. But
Yeah, I did.
it was clear, so it was like
Yeah.
weird,
I
and
only
then a beer
love-
bottle, it
yeah.
blew.
I
We're
was a
simple, though.
vodka drinker.
Well, Matt, everything going good with you, man? I forgot to
Everything good.
check in on you.
Everything
course.
good. I mean, I'm kind of a little depression. I didn't have any reptiles I had to kill when I got out here. But other than that, life is great, man.
Before we had talked about on our last episode, we're gonna come into a little we agnostics here, right? So, and I'm gonna do a segue into that here in just a second, but before I forget anything, you guys know I don't normally plug other programs, because it ain't that I don't respect them or any of that. It's just I don't really have their permission, and there's no telling who's gonna hear this, and I sure as hell don't want to offend anybody. But there is an episode of Theo Vaughn. He has a podcast called This Past Weekend.
This Past Weekend.
Is that right?
Yep.
And now his latest podcast is not this one. It's the one before that. But he has the Suicide Boys on there, and it's about a 2 hour and some odd minute.
It's pretty good.
Have you heard
Yeah,
it? Yeah, I listened to it as well. And I would suggest listening to it. A lot of talk about these guys and they're just all of it. Drugs, how it influenced them. If you don't know who the Suicide Boys are, they're a group from New Orleans. And of course, Theo's from New Orleans, or he's from Mandeville, Lee Road area, actually, so he's, if you know what Lee Road is, you're there, so that'd be kind of like us saying Shed Road up here in Bossier. You know what Shed Road is. You've been in Bossier a lot, so anyway, good episode. I want to put a plug into that. And, so I had seen a commercial or I seen an advertisement. It probably wasn't a commercial because I don't watch enough TV or commercialized television. Everything I watch is streaming. But I seen a commercial and they have can't quote me on this. I could probably Google it here while we're discussing this. But they have a vodka, a whiskey, and something else. Maybe a gin. No alcohol.
What the hell?
Zero alcohol.
I don't want to try it. It'll just make me want to go have one for real.
Well, I don't understand. That's like,
I don't see the point.
well, that's like having a fake happy ending in a massage parlor.
No shit.
What's the
Of all
point?
the scenarios.
Why go? You know,
I mean, if I don't get the effect, forget it. It's pointless.
But
Look, gin tastes like shit.
to me, I never drank any of it for the flavor.
God.
And I mean, I would honestly think, of course, I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't do it kind of like what Lisa just said. Perfect
Yeah,
example.
no, you're right.
Because that might trigger something that I don't need triggered. Right?
me.
Exactly.
Now I'm talking about the alcohol, not the massage parlor, just so we're clear.
All the above.
But
I mean, come
well, I doubt I would be triggered.
trigger.
But my whole
it in.
point is that I would truly have to believe that this shit is doing something in order to drink it. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So
Who wants to drink gin without alcohol?
No shit.
I would have to mix my vodka with
Drink
vodka.
paint,
But I guess where I'm going with that is if we believe something is real enough, that's where the danger is in this
That's right.
this fake liquor is. If I believe it's real enough, then it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And I have just done something in my mind that I haven't done in a long time that probably is very dangerous, right? Now that's for me. If you're the non-alcoholic regular old fella out there on the street that says, "Hey, I want some fake vodka and a paper bag," by God, I'm fixing to drive down the road drinking this stuff. Go for it. But if you're like me, you can't. And the reason I bring all that up is because we talked about how we were going to talk about we agnostics. And in we agnostics, we come to a point in this chapter where it's all about what you believe. It's not about what, and this was a very enlightening moment for me, and that's why we're talking about it, right? It's not about what Matt believes. It has nothing to do with what Matt believes. It has nothing to do with what my mom believes. You know, and I love my mom to death. And me and my mom have the same higher power, you know, but it has nothing to do with what my mom believes. If I believe it enough, it's real. For millions and millions, and Lord Almighty, I hope nobody is going to be crushed by this. But how about this? How about I don't just say it? I'll just kind of allude to it. For millions and millions of children out there, every year in December, there is a very real figure that is going to change their life at the end of the month.
IRS.
Now, that's a very real figure that has
adults.
changed my life. But but it's real. It actually, they adapt their behavior to it.
Yeah.
They change what they do because it's real. It doesn't matter if it's real to me or real to you or real to Mrs. Claus, right? Mm-hmm. But it's real. And when I was a child, there was a boogeyman. There was something that lived under my bed. There was something that peeked in my window. There was something. Now, Was it or wasn't it? To my mom and dad, it wasn't. Okay. To my grandparents, it wasn't. To my friends, it wasn't. To me, it was real enough to change my life, to make an impact on me. And all these years later, I get into AA, and for some reason, I can't figure out that I can just believe that something bigger than me, and all I've got to do is really believe in it. And if I really believe in it, and I believe in it as much as I did my childhood friend back in the day, or as much as I believed in anything else, right? It's real, and it's very real. And for any religion out there, you know, if we worship a certain deity or whatever, if we take it to the grave, it doesn't matter if anybody else believed in it or not. We have.
That's right.
And we took it all the way, right? And that belief, and it comes from when we became alcoholics, crushed by a self-imposed crisis we could not postpone or evade. We had to fearlessly face the proposition that either God is everything or else he is nothing. God either is or he isn't. Mm-hmm. What's your choice to be? And boom, you can't just sit there and go, God is. That's my choice. You got to believe. And starting, you know, these actions we take in here, it might help to start considering believing, be willing to believe. You know, I think what's that fella Brett Michaels? You know, he sings a song called "Give Me Something to Believe In."
I think I was probably
Speaking
about
of Zima.
5 years sober, and I had whenever I got a friend of mine gave me, and I love it. And it has this poster. It has an escalator going up, and there's water all in it. And he's going up, and he says, "We are all on the edge of our own perception," which is true. We're all on the edge of our own perception. So if I believe something enough, whether it's tarot cards or Jesus or whatever, I can come to believe that, and something has to change that.
Yeah.
Because you lose all. I mean, like, doesn't matter how much I believed in God and how much He had done for me and how my life had changed. The moment that I decided, I made a decision again that alcohol would fix things and be okay, that became what I focused on.
Yep, that was God. So you're replacing, you know what I mean? For
Right.
a while, it was
Right.
that was
And
God.
it don't
I
matter
guess,
if
you
it's
know?
women,
Yeah.
it don't make a damn. A job, everything you put. And now I try my damnedest to make sure that this entity or this God that I believe in stays my focus. Everything else is just a byproduct. And I used to hear that all the time and I didn't understand it. But it is. Everything's a byproduct of doing what's on that wall.
Right.
And when
right.
she says on the wall, she's talking about the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous
Yes.
and the stuff that goes along with them.
The traditions,
principles,
all of it.
Yeah. And when you go in a room and you're a newcomer and you look up there on that wall and you see those things,
God bless.
well, I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
It's like straight up jibber jabber.
Matter of fact, the stuff we're talking about now might not make a whole lot of sense.
Well, you know what? To me, it was horrifying. Like that
People would-
bullshit.
Didn't know lie. This is just people would be in there and I'd be sitting there like listening, and they'd go, "Yeah, I didn't do it, so I was on 7," and I'm like trying to read what 7 is, so I know what they're talking about. You know, I didn't know, but I learned.
I used to think, man, what is wrong with these people? Like they can sit there and rattle off
How do
these
they know?
steps. You know, I was. You need to do a 6, sir. You need to do a 6.
What is 6?
You know, you could
6
fake
pack?
it.
I don't
Oh, you're
know.
absolutely right. I do.
Sure.
I mean,
That's
and the
what I
big
was
book
thinking.
was just so long ago. I mean, like I remember my first year in sobriety, and whenever I got that big book, and I was just like, "That shit's so yesterday. Who cares? I need something I can comprehend."
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the little books that you go to Central Service and get, like Came to Believe or Living Sober. I mean, that book really helped me more than anything in the first 3 or 4 months of being sober, because it was just overwhelming. I mean, what's this heckle and jive bullshit?
And it's weird. Weird as this sounds, so the God thing for me, starting with sobriety, became, so if I don't drink or use that day, there must be something there. And that was as simple a deal, if you will. I don't even know if that's the word, but that was I'm going to try this. So the problem was I kept not drinking and using. And I went, for the first time in my life, I'm praying twice a day They're not the best prayers in the world. I don't sound like John the Baptist or anything like that. I probably sounded more like Bret Michaels, but they were prayers and I meant them, and I couldn't argue with the results. That was the problem. And so to go from 20 plus years of using and drinking every single day to 90 days, 4 months straight, I was like, something's going on, and I'm just going to keep doing this. And that's where the faith came in. And then the one God replaced that other little G God, that was running the show. So
it's self that gets us in trouble. I'm
Sure,
telling you.
sure.
It consumed. I mean, I really had a beautiful life for those 7 years. And when I walked away, and it wasn't that I walked away from God, you're thinking you got all this together and it's going to be okay. And you never lose those tools that they gave you. But then when I came back, I will tell you, when I was back for about 3 or 4 months, I thought, am I sure this shit's not a cult? I'm tired of hearing the same shit out of people's mouths. Mm-hmm. But then I had to realize that it really wasn't. I needed those things. I needed to be able to, I don't know, it was easy for me to believe in God because my dad got killed when I was a child. And so I was brought up to know that you look up and there he is. Now, where that perception has changed, absolutely. But there's no way that there's not something that's got me out of some of the shit that I've been into.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mine it wasn't that easy for me because I didn't believe in anything before. And so to just come up with believe in something, it was really hard because, I never had. I didn't, where do you find this? What do you do when someone's supposed to magically appear? I mean, none of it was complete. It was foreign to me and I didn't believe, and it wasn't. And, just like in the steps say, came to believe. And it took, it was very frustrating and I cried a lot because I was frustrated with prayer. I remember in early recovery, I thought if I prayed more, better things would happen to me or more this Christmas wish list would come true. And none of it did. So I started getting pissed off because this shit isn't working. And I started praying too much. My sponsor was like, settle down. You just start off with help me. And I just want you to do that. And I still, had the same thoughts and behaviors. And it just was really a struggle for me. And I couldn't see where God was working in my life. And because I was still so focused on the problem and all the bullshit. And that took a long time for me to start looking and seeing things outside of that. And, it took proof. I mean, it did. Because I always had a rationalization, I started, I was always waiting for that panic attack. I had panic disorder for 20 something years. And, I was having anxiety really bad and they weren't giving me Xanax. Rude. But anyway,
It is rude of them.
That's so rude. I mean, I was going to die and they were just sure. But it'd been a while. It'd been a couple of months and I hadn't had one. And I haven't had one since. And I had them every day and I was highly sedated. And I just thought, well, that's my body's physiological response to, I would over intellectualize the whole deal, which it is. But still, I could have still had panic attacks. And of course, that's what I would do. Well, that's just, I always had some kind of
reasoning.
Yes. And so, it really did take me going through the steps, and being unsure because he wasn't, even though I was praying, I still thought, I was, talking to air, which to me seemed a little psychotic. And I think I'm so concrete that sometimes it's hard for me to see, past or through things or see things that aren't there. And so, I really struggled with this. And
I think a lot of people do, though.
Yeah, no, they do. And that's why that chapter's in there. And that chapter was everything to me. I was like, oh, there's me. But I don't know if I don't know what I was, but I mean, I like to think that I believed in something, but like nothing ever panned out for me. So clearly there's nothing, just selfish asshole, beliefs. And, through the steps, just like it says, as a result of the steps, I had a spiritual awakening. And I just thought that was so weird because, like, first of all, how did you know? And there's nothing really that I could rationalize other than, like, you just can't, like, talk about this stuff and do some things and you have one. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I couldn't rationalize that. So I was like, man, that is my miracle. There it is right there.
So, go ahead. Sorry. I have that reminded me of something in We Agnostics, which talks about logic.
Right.
So you were thinking logically.
Yeah.
Logic tells me that doing this stuff up here doesn't make me just all of a sudden start changing, right? Logic does. That's just, to me, I guess everybody's logic is a little bit different, right? But, but the truth is I have to go from beyond the realm of logic into the realm of possibilities or willingness or believing or something.
Yeah. And I think like that, and then everything that's happened since, to me, I was like, oh, okay, I see. And, since then I can look back on my life before I believed and I can see God then. And I was like, oh, wow, kind of like at the footsteps, he was there the whole time, carrying me down the beach.
Yeah, kept us out of some stuff and we didn't realize it,
Yeah, and so now, I totally believe. And not only that, is because my whole life has changed. I have had the psychic change. And I have 100%, belief that was not me. I do not have that power.
Mm-hmm. Well, how come, if you think about it logically, so we don't have the power to get sober. We come into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. We all of a sudden get sober. We don't have the power to do it. It's not a coincidence. So where does it come from?
Comes from desperation.
Comes from, I think, there's a lot of willingness in desperation.
That's right. And you get to that point, because I really thought that I got this thing really fast when I got here in 88, and I didn't. Listen, it took me 30 freaking years to surrender. I can do all that work, and I can have a sponsor, go speak, and be sharing. It took me 30 years in a jail cell to surrender.
Yeah.
And then I realized that there was, like, when I first got back this time, like, how it works meant so much to me, and the preamble meant so much to me more than anything else, because I've really finally understood that the only thing that was going to save me was a power greater than myself. You could help me, but you couldn't do it. There's nothing that you could say that was going to get. I had to be absolutely willing to just do anything. When I said that I made it back, it was the most truest statement I'd ever said.
We had that meeting last night about hope, and I was talking about how I saw hope because I saw other people, right? So it did help me because I saw people that had gone before me, and then I heard their stuff, and I was like, I don't know about this guy. And then he has a higher power, and he prays, and he does these things, and I'm like, maybe this works then, and it wasn't that they could do anything for me, but they could shine a light on that and go, it is possible. And I had a lot of people like that for sure,
I believe I see in hindsight. I don't see it when it's happening. I have to get past it and I go, oh my God. So that really,
sobriety, I've had everything.
I could not give up.
Behind me. Yeah.
I would think that I was giving up control to a power. Oh shit, I was not.
Yeah.
And
like you were saying, you had all this willingness. I had about a speck of sand.
Yeah.
And like I was incredibly apprehensive. Like I really, desperation was the only reason I was doing this. And it wasn't because I was going to find a higher power, have a spiritual awakening, or have any type of relief, because I didn't have any belief that any of that would happen.
Right.
Nothing on the promises would happen, and I just had zero belief. But I think that's after finishing the steps the first time is when I had faith, and that's the first time I realized, like, oh, this is what that is. This is what that is.
You really have you really have those three choices: death, institution, or jail. I mean, and it's almost like
sober.
A part of you dies whenever. I mean, that you have to shed that to be able to start growing. You know, like my sponsor said to me that, Leslie, it's just a rebirth. You know, and I do believe, like, all my past is there. It's in there, and I can pick that shit up anytime I get ready to. But I just don't have it in me because I was so damn desperate. I mean, I was just so lost.
Yeah.
I had to be completely lost.
I was there. I don't want to do I don't want to do that work again.
Me neither.
That was, I mean, like you said, that was the death of old Jill,
Yeah.
which really needed to happen. And, you know, she just
Old Jill sounds like a horror person in a haunted house. Don't go up there, old Jill.
kind of like old Greg, but
Yeah, old Greg.
That's where old Jill lost her life on the hill. Old Jill.
no.
But
no
you know,
hills.
looking back on the hindsight too, and what I was saying about seeing things through other people and watching them and being encouraged, because I didn't feel it in the moment. I didn't feel like I was making any progress. I still don't today. Like, I feel like I'm like, I should be doing this or that. But then as I look back and I go, oh man, like, I'm not even the same. I don't even think the same as I did a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever. And it takes me looking back, though. I don't realize it in the moment.
Right.
And you know, so everything I do it's behind me, and I can, you know, some of the bad stuff, but nowadays it's just like from year 1 to 5 or 6 or 3, whatever, it's just leaps forward, but it doesn't seem like it, you know?
Yeah. I would have never thought I'd be this person, spiritual, believer, faith, grace. I mean, like all those beautiful things, spiritual experiences. That wasn't going to happen for me.
I just never equated getting sober with all this God stuff.
Right, I thought you just stopped.
I mean, none of that. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, like when you get
not
it,
my choice.
when you
That was
get
not like, oh my God,
when you get a
let's go back
DUI, the judge don't sentence you to go believe in something. You know what I mean? Like I never equated God with that part. You know, the
Absolutely.
and I want to quit so bad I can't, you know, but then, you know, ask God to help you. Well, I do every day. Still waiting, you know, but I'm going to keep drinking until until he
shows up,
Until
yeah.
he takes care of
That
this.
takes that damn drink away from you.
Years ago, I read a book about George Jones, the country music singer.
Riding
and he had
that lawnmower.
Yeah, well, and it was a cocaine and alcohol issue in his life was very big, and the other guy, the other singer, Waylon Jennings,
Oh man.
tried to get him. Love Waylon.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say country.
Tried to get him to stop, and he's wound up. And there's a story about him beating him up and then strapping him to a chair in his house so he couldn't leave his house. Like, that's how crazy he acted he was. And you know, when I got out of treatment, I'd read that book 20 years earlier, 15 years earlier, and I thought that's what they're going to have to do to me every day, or I'm going to go get higher. I just thought I'd be chained in a chair the rest of my life, but I didn't, you know. But that's how weird sobriety, the weirdest thought to me of it's not going to happen. You know, I didn't know how. I just couldn't picture it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It does have to be an individual thing, though. I think you have to have your own personal relationship with the power grid, whatever that may be. And I've learned that more this time than I ever did, because I mean, sometimes I still get scared and I think, oh my God, if I have to be Betty Crocker and be a housewife.
A nun.
Oh shit.
Oh, my
I mean,
goodness.
It's over with. I'm just going to shoot myself in the face, you know, and you know, oh, well, she will never make it up in here. She's a lesbian.
If you're looking
It's
for a
my
reason
brain.
to exclude
That's right.
yourself, which
Then you do that.
We do that.
And then you got to set yourself back up and go, remember where you're at. It's all, this is your program. And one thing that I've learned is that this is my program. It's not about being your friend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a byproduct. I love being able to be your friend, but that's not the most important. If I don't have that relationship with a God, that when I'm sitting in that room by myself and there comes a point and here's the drink and here's my spirituality, which one am I going to choose? If I'm not okay, I'm not going to pick the right one.
And it goes back to the cult thing too. You go in, and I'm one of them. I'm going to watch a couple things when I watch TV, which I never do. It's going to be about serial killers, cult leaders. It's going to be something crazy, right? But I thought the same thing for about a week, and then I went, well, first off, they have to get something from me, and I have nothing. Like I have nothing to offer in any way, shape, or form. Second off, we all have to believe a common. And we don't. Like there was a guy in there. He's not in there anymore. He was an atheist. He would tell you, I'm an atheist. He'd been sober almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And so nobody believed in the same God. You could tell it was different. And I went, well, it's just their understanding of that. Yes. And so that kind of flew out the window right off the bat for me because there was no angle to it. It was just pure.
And thank God for that. Because I wouldn't have stayed in the rooms.
And if you just shoved me into a church right out of rehab and said, "Go this way," and I'm not dogging church, okay? And I go and I like church, but if I had to gone into that straight out of rehab, and you said, "Hey, you're going to go to this church every single day," this is what I'd be right back out there. I'm telling you, for whatever it is in me that can't do that, I just can't do that, and so now I can. Now I can go sit in church, and I appreciate it for what it is, and that's great. But it was so nice to just be in that thing, and Lisa and I can believe in two different things, and as long as Lisa's staying sober, I don't care what. Right. I don't care if she believes in a magical unicorn. I don't care. I'm happy for her. Good for her. I can't
close my mind off. If I start to close my mind off and think yours is not the right way and yours is not the right way and it's just mine, it doesn't work for me either. I got to believe that it's all okay.
So,
hit me with it.
Well, my thought process changed earlier. I got to do another plug while I'm thinking about it. Alice Cooper on A&E has a biography, right? Mm-hmm. And so does Dusty Rhodes, but it has nothing to do with recovery. This was Alice Cooper's has, a little tiny piece on there. He's been sober many years, 35, 40. Do you know where he got the name Alice Cooper?
No, but I love Alice.
Well, he's sitting there. His name wasn't his name. His name's Vincent, right? The group is Alice Cooper. They're trying to think of a name that sounds like a sinister housewife type. And the name Betty Crocker came up, and he said Betty Crocker, and then he said Alice Cooper. And boom, the name, he said it just like that, and the name stuck.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah. Drugs and alcohol just about did those guys in too, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was my first 8-track tape in a 1971 Camaro that I got.
Yes.
And that's what I played was Alice Cooper.
I never was big on Alice Cooper, but I was more of a Lemmy and Motorhead guy.
Well,
that's my kind of stuff.
Was he sober?
Lemmy? The band Motorhead, that's British for like a speed head, like a meth head. Yeah. No, they were not at all. Lemmy was, no. So horrible drinking and drugging, but I like Lemmy. So anyway.
Do you like Tom McDonald?
Who?
Tom McDonald. Have you ever heard of Tom McDonald?
I think so. I like some of that stuff. I don't
recovery, but his it's pretty, it's cool.
There's a lot of these guys now,
like
too,
Michael McDonald.
That's not a rock guy, by the way. But yes, it's great to hear some of those bands, and they've come through some of that stuff, and the Slipknot guys and all them, and they're doing great, and some of them don't, some of them.
Yeah, a lot of them don't.
That fella from Korn, I wish I remembered his name.
Corey Taylor.
Is that it?
I think that's him, right? Corey Taylor.
Don't ask me.
Yeah, he's sober.
He's sober, and
yeah, that's Corey Taylor. Slipknot and Korn. I think he does both.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. I believe it. I hope if I'm wrong, somebody say that. But
that's not him.
Or he's got two bands for sure. But
this guy looks sober, and You know,
What does that look like?
The
Yeah,
cops
what
said
is
that
that?
about me sometimes when they contacted me.
And the Korn's official website. He was the lead singer of Korn. What was this fella's name? None of y'all listen to Korn?
Not really.
Not
I mean,
crazy.
I had an ex that was in Corn.
Brian Welsh is his name.
Did you look it up?
Yes, and he's he's been sober and saved and all that and stuff. And there you gotta think about it, man. When you live the life of a rock star, right? Mm-hmm. And addiction, you talk about desperation.
Yeah.
Addiction gets so bad that you have to change your entire everything, or that I can own. That's tough. That is tough.
I felt that's exactly what I had to do.
Me too.
Well, Jill lived the life of a rock star.
I really, I partied like
You
one, that's for
probably
sure.
say that because, like, I
Aaron
walked out there
Carter,
with a
maybe,
pair of
but-
shoes. Yeah.
But yeah,
Aaron Carter?
that's
What?
that's another biography I
He
watched.
was a Backstreet. Or
Yeah.
No, that's his
Nah,
brother.
that's a little brother.
That's his big brother. But I watched the show on these fellas the other day, and there was actually, along with that situation, there's a little mental illness that went along, and unfortunately untreated, or maybe there was an attempt to treat it and it just didn't work out, and ultimately the end result wasn't good.
Did you ever watch the real Bill W? It's on Prime.
Yeah,
I think where it's just him and it shows him back and it's really him.
The old
doing-
clips of him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was a great story.
yeah,
I like
yeah. And Bill's story is a testimony. Bill had the alcoholics. I think it's page 2 of the big book. He's already got the jitters.
Yeah.
I mean, you still got 162 more pages to go, and he's already got the jitters on page 2, and that's usually late stage. Or for me it was. It was pretty. I was pretty far gone by the time I was getting the jitters.
Yeah.
So
I just want to be prepared this time. I mean, like, you can't be prepared, but I want to be able to walk through situations that could take me down. And sometimes I think, for me, I rested on my laurels. But I watched, like, my sponsor that just passed away that had 49 years, and just because he was sober all that time did not make him make just wonderful decisions all the time. Because listen, after his wife died, he and I can say this for real, he got mixed up with a meth head. He had never been around meth in his life, and it was going to go crazy. So we can still, whether we have that drink or not, we can make bad choices.
Oh, for sure.
And then how do we get past that? I just want to be able to still be fallible and be alive, because I'm gonna make mistakes. I don't ever want to be on that pedestal again. And I had put myself on a damn pedestal.
yeah, that's not ever a good spot to be.
Stupid.
As hard as we talking about the rock people and all that, and like I watched that Amy Winehouse documentary. I liked her, and a lot of them. But as hard as we've had it, and I've read some things about some of them coming into trying to do AA and trying to do meetings, and they're famous, and it's harder. It's probably a lot harder, and then that environment that they're in every night.
Yeah.
That's got to be crazy, to have to deal with that on top of,
Right.
what we would, a normal alcoholic or addict would deal with. Them people throwing stuff on stage all night.
Do
And
you think if you were praying and you were doing those 5 simple things that they ask us to do, and you were staying in that you would be okay though?
probably.
Well, I
you
mean,
would have to.
Says in the big book.
yeah, I mean, we can go anywhere and do anything. I mean,
Yeah.
And it's again, it's a program. I mean, are you working your program? Are you
and
Or am I going in there to try and steal some of that?
Yeah, are you fooling yourself? Being
let's go
dishonest
back
with
to
yourself?
or go back to the beginning of what we were talking about. Now, if I believe I can, and I believe that whatever it is keeping me sober, I can probably do just about anything.
Absolutely. But then when that thing clicks and it starts to turn, do you stop what you're doing to make sure that you get yourself back to where you're supposed to be?
And that's where you work the program every day.
That's right.
You got to work the program every day, because having false hope or having false, pride, confidence, whatever it is, that's dangerous. But I think when you know. I think after a certain amount of recovery, I think when you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get in that I recognize where my head goes to certain things, and it's like, kind of like alarm bells. It's like, this is not what we're doing. Like, we're not going down this road.
I really thought, though, at 7, I thought that I was okay. I really thought I was okay, but I really still thought I was okay. I thought that I could go into this relationship. I really thought that I had 7 years, surely I would not drink again. And, you know, if something happened, rather than calling my sponsor, I'd just think my way through it, which was dangerous. Danger. If you start to think that you can think your way through something, there's probably a problem. Mm-hmm. But I did, you know, and then I'd go, well, I should be better than this. Oh, you know, it's okay.
Yeah, we just have to be careful not to bullshit ourselves.
Yeah,
that's-
and I did. I started to, and I was sponsoring all these people, and then there I was.
Mm-hmm.
That's my fear. I don't
That
ever
mixed
wanna
with
get-
probably some other things like complacency or, I
Yes.
mean, like, and you name it, a negative emotional state, whatever that may just tip the bucket.
That's right. Instead of making, if I had a choice between going here and you speak, and going out with you,
I'd go out with
choosing
you.
That's right.
Be honest with you.
Honestly, that's what I would do.
Oh, you use a
Yeah.
better example than Matt. How about that? Because Matt's
then I would-
15 minutes is not worth giving up a trip to Hamels Park for.
Exactly. It's not. It's not.
Yeah.
I'll be quick. I'll join y'all.
For those of y'all who remember Hamels Park.
Yes.
I do.
I do.
Now it's a church.
I remember someone bringing my children over here before I moved here, and they were here way too long. And I said, "Where the hell have y'all been?" Hamels Park all day. I'm like, "Where the hell is that shit?"
I actually think Hamels, it's been a church now longer than it was Hamels Park.
You know what is very cool? If you've never been to it, I'm not going to say the name of it. You folks around here know. I don't know if I'm supposed to say it or not, but anyway, I have visited that church one day, and they kept a carousel from Hamels.
Oh, yeah.
So when the kids roll up there to go to church, there's a big carousel. They can just get on it and ride it. It's kind of cool. So my kids like that. So
I went to some meetings there on Friday night. It's pretty good.
yeah, they do. They do. They have meetings there too.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they
I
do.
mean-
Yeah, it's a good place. I just didn't want to blast some church. You know, they're like, we don't want to associate with that guy. You don't need to talk about us. But
Yeah, Hamels Park was a staple.
Oh, man, it
when
was
I was a
awesome.
kid.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And now, if I'm not mistaken, it was a zoo before it was a park.
I remember riding around in the little train.
Yeah.
right around the corner from that, my dad, born and raised in Cedar Grove, never
Yeah.
been around a livestock in his life, rented me a pony at the Duck Pond Parks over there.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And this dude rolled up with this pony, and it was like, I don't know. It was sketchy to say the least. But they lost that horse, dude. It ran off. That guy dropped it off for the party, and that thing took off. And my dad was chasing it. I'm like, this ain't John Wayne chasing this thing down. Like, he don't know what to do if he catches it, you know? I don't know if they ever did find that pony. It may still be.
On the loose in Broadmoor.
Yeah, probably.
Was it Broadmoor?
Wherever
I thought it was
the
Cedar Grove, because it was Cedar Grove. That pony is not.
No,
Good
Duck
luck.
Pond is, Broadmoor.
Pony's gone, bro. I'm
Or
telling you.
he's tough. He may be in prison right now. You don't know.
That's where I lived when I was born, Cedar
Yeah,
Grove.
yeah, that's where my dad's side of the family, they're all from. So, yeah, he either died or he got tougher living in Cedar Grove, one of the two.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, I you know,
I think I was 5 just watching my dad going. He has zero cowboy in him. He's chasing this horse, man.
you know, I was whenever I was working step 2 with Dale, all years ago, my first step 2. So you got to figure it's 13 years ago, maybe coming up on it. And Dale basically, I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do here on step 2 because I already had a higher power. Mm-hmm. And I had to look, it says, came to believe that a higher power could restore me to sanity, not came to believe in a higher power.
Right.
So I had to believe that a higher power could restore me to sanity, not in a higher power. I had to believe that it could. That's what the step says.
Right.
So, and I had to take that step for its literal purpose in order for me to even understand where the heck this was going.
Me too.
And a Catholic priest on YouTube, right, was talking about it, and something clicked one night, and I'm like, all I got to do is believe for it to be real. That's all I got to do. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or says. All I've got to do is believe. And, you know, and I get it. Some people, you know, may suffer from different maladies that a doctor needs to diagnose, not a sponsor.
Would you, all seriousness
Which is
aside,
very
would
short.
y'all jump? I've seen them do the jump with no, I think it was that skateboard or bicycle guy, Travis Pastrana, I think I'm saying it right. He jumps out of one the other day with no chute. And then they some other people come and they jump out later and they come get you. I would do that so fast it'd
You
make your,
would?
oh,
Oh, hell no. I don't
truly
trust
flying,
No.
like you're flying.
anybody. No.
Nope. No thanks.
Oh, I'll do it. I would have to. I don't know.
Obviously, I don't trust people that much.
Well, I mean, you know, what a way, if you got to go out, what a way to go out,
Yeah.
though. You know what I mean?
But back to you were saying, like, came to believe. I mean, like, mine was not 100%. I mean, like, it was minimal. It was very minimal, just like my willingness and my everything, you know, at that point, because I was so, like, sure. I was willing to give it a shot, and that's about as much as I was willing to believe. Like, it was like, okay, well, prove it to me then.
And I get that too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a lot of people, even it says in We Agnostics, it says we're stickler for results. We want to see results. Now, once we start seeing results, we can start believing really, really quick.
Well, yeah.
Right. And that's yeah. I don't know. That's human nature, I guess. There's not really any way to even look at that any other way but human nature.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, you know, if you're new and you're listening to this and you're looking at the steps and you're looking at things, just give it a try. You know, as best you know how to do at the time, just start. It can be a bad start, but make a start, you know, and just let things progress and give them some time and see how it works. And, you know, it just will. I mean, it just does. And we're all living proof of that sitting here, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I would have never thought that would have worked.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I even said last night, I said, it took me a lot. I did not like Bobby, and Joe was I couldn't understand anything he said. And I love those people, but I was just willing to keep sitting there to hear.
You know,
Well, yeah, and I'd had my butt so thoroughly whipped, and my counselor set the tone right off the bat and said, "Let's review your results in life so far.
Right.
Let's listen to some other folks that maybe have done it a little more." And I was like, "Yeah, I pretty much just drove off a cliff with everything I you know." And so I whatever that ass whipping or humble or whatever you want to call it, all of that combined, I went, man, I don't have a choice here. Like, I got no other place to go. And so I did. I listened. I didn't know what the heck they were talking about most of the time for about a year. Sometimes I still don't. Okay. So, some of them folks are, they really got a good grasp on it, and I'm not there yet, but I listen to enough that it sinks in, and I can make my way through. And if I don't, I call Jill and I say, "Hey, they said a big word. Can you tell me
You
what?"
do not.
Cognitive, or, you know, I don't even know some of them other ones, but yeah, we figure it out. So,
you know, and the best ones to visit with, like, not the best ones, obviously, but some good ones. Like, one of my guys down when I had him in New Orleans, his name's Adam. He listens to the show. He's a fan of the show. And I talked to him on Father's Day. I text back and forth on Father's Day. It's the first time I talked to him in a long time, probably a year. But I remember when he came in, and he just had he had not shut himself off completely. He just had a whole lot of questions because none of it makes sense. Mm-hmm. Right. Which, this is the whole purpose of this podcast, really, is when you have a question, you kind of like, none of this stuff's making sense. And the podcast may not even make sense, you know. But, hey, you know, we got an email, fixing to have a website.
Yeah.
You know, reach out to somebody, talk to somebody, find out what's going on before you just walk out. And, you know, think about it. If you're at DWI number 2 and you walk out because you're confused or don't like what you're doing and get a DUI number 3, you get to come back as a felon.
Right.
When you should have just stayed at number 2 and, you know, tried to figure it out, because none of it does make sense. You know, I was a naysayer. I didn't think, kind of like Jill said, it's words. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense. You know, it just doesn't. Whenever you have words like that, it just doesn't make sense. But we have just about covered everything we can cover. So I can't think of anything else. Can you, Matt?
No, no. Man, happy birthday to you two guys. So,
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
yeah.
Oh, that crowd goes wild, don't they?
And
Chuck and Bud.
yeah. They I was thinking last night, we had our business meeting for our little group last night. In 6 years of sobriety, how many people were there? 7,
5.
8? Yeah. It probably took a grand total of about 6 minutes. Okay. It was the best business meeting I've been to at the 5:30. But I looked around the room at the 5 or 6 people and I was adding sobriety dates. There was over 100 years of sobriety sitting in there with just those few
It was
people.
Randy and Joe alone,
Well,
70.
Yeah, but hey, well, dang, Mike, you took the rest of us away. I mean, we count,
No, I mean, I get it. I'm just
But I
saying.
mean, yeah. But I was like,
But think about it. After all those years, those guys still go to business meetings.
But that's what I'm saying. There's 100 years sitting there with those few of people, and they're sitting at a business meeting on Wednesday night, and there ain't even nothing to really talk about. We didn't have nothing going on, but it was the fact that they stayed right after a dang meeting that they just sat through. And, and it's just kind of a theme, is being involved with things and being around folks like that with a little bit of wisdom,
Yeah.
So,
My sponsor called me the week before he died, and he said, I'm not going to make it to your birthday. And I took that as that he just wouldn't be able to give me my chip, which he'd given me so many before. That was the first time in 49 years he went 7 days without a meeting, and then he died.
Wow. But he died sober,
He died sober.
which is the end game that we
that's
hope
right.
for.
And he would only come to like 3 meetings, but he was always there. And he constantly smiled till the very last days. He smiled.
But he just
I would love that.
did he just old age or
No, he had cancer. He got
Okay.
cancer about 5 years ago, and he fought his way through it. And he was 97. Come on,
yeah.
I mean,
that's
that's a good long
that's
life.
amazing.
But he, no matter what, he always had a home group. He always would be at least 3 meetings a week, and he was just there.
And sober how long?
49 years.
49.
man? That is a long
Gave
time.
me-
Yeah.
I got to give him his 49 chip, and he got to give me his first 1-year chip.
So all of us, I'm talking to myself here, that it's hot outside and I can't go to a meeting. I'm too tired to go to a meeting.
need
That
to
man's
go.
97 with cancer. He's still going to 3 a
right.
week. Get your ass to a meeting. Go sit down
Even
in a
if you
chair.
just go to a couple, because you never know. Listen, if you guys wouldn't have been there, what would I have done?
Sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's where the miracle happens, is when we come to believe
Yeah.
that we can't do it by ourselves, that somebody else can
So
help us.
please keep coming back. I don't care who you are.
Come on back. We need you. So next episode, I think we're going to do straight out of rehab. Yeah. Starting to make that. Yeah. We'll get shirts made. Well, one of our listeners posed a question, that what was the first thing you wanted to go do out of rehab? So we're going to cover that. And
Is that a trick question?
no, we'll cover all the rehabs we've went to on the next episode.
Go ahead.
All right. So until the website's active, G and B Bossier@gmail.com is our website. Area code 817-988-2530 is our voice line. So you can call and leave us a voicemail. Jill, somebody in the Philippines has listened to our show.
Hell yeah.
That is so. The Philippines is another
Awesome.
country. We should have Puerto Rico popping in there for some reason. Somebody from Puerto Rico listened to our show, I was told, and I still haven't seen Puerto Rico pop up. But that's coming from one of our listeners. Said, "Hey, can you look and see if Puerto Rico popped up?" And then I did, and it wasn't there.
Huh.
And they came back with, "Hey,
It's processing.
I don't know. It's been a while. Maybe, but Puerto Rico, since we own it, could be still counting as the United
Yeah.
States." So,
St. Croix. I had some really good friends in St. Croix. I'm still friends with them.
and well, I mean,
them to
we
pop up.
we had those St. Lucia not too long ago. Amy from down there did it. So, straight out of rehab on our next show, we're gonna have Craig S. has agreed to stop by and tell his story. He's been a guest but never told his story. And so we're going to, get that one knocked out. So if we don't have anybody else, guys, I know I appreciate you. And we have been at Rule 62 Studios here in hot, sunny Bossier City, Louisiana. And this is the Grouch and the Brainstorm.